I have just ordered an electric car. It's going to be one of the first of its kind to come here to Australia. Now, the great news is that they're not only coming to Australia, they're also coming to many other countries this year. Even better news is the price, which is seriously insane. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Electric Viking. My name is Sam Evans, and you are watching the YouTube channel that has made more than 1,000 videos about electric cars, batteries, and all that stuff over the past 6-7 months. So if you're new, make sure you check out some of those videos. If you're not, welcome back to the channel. Great to have you here. Seriously, this is the second EV I have ordered this year. The first one that I ordered, I'm not sure that I'll ever get it. I hope I do, but I'm not sure I will. I'll put a link in the description below to the video I made about that vehicle, which is, well, it's insane. To be honest, insanely cool, insanely weird. I hope I do get it. I'm not holding out hope though. Make sure you check out that video to see that electric car. So what car have I ordered today? It's called the BYD Atto 3. In China, it's called the BYD Yen Plus. It's a small to medium-sized electric SUV with a BYD Blade battery. That's probably the best part about it in my view. I mean, there's lots of other good things about it, like the price, which to be honest, I don't even know what the price is going to be yet, but I'm pretty confident it's going to be the most affordable electric car here in Australia. And also, I'll have a video up pretty soon about me test driving the car before it goes on sale here and in any other markets outside of China globally. There's going to be a test drive day coming up for journalists soon, so I hope to attend that. Well, I will be attending that. I'll have a video for you to show you what the car's like, what it does, and what it's like to drive, and I'll tell you what I honestly think, because I'm going to own one, so there's no incentive for me to bullshit to you because I don't get paid by BYD. No one pays me. Only YouTube pays me. No one else. Well, I do get some of you support me on the channel here through Patreon. I really appreciate those of you who do that. That makes a big difference. I'll put a link to our Patreon account in the description below. So why did I order this car? A few reasons. One, BYD's Blade battery. It is lithium iron phosphate, LFP battery. And LFP batteries, well, this gives you a good idea of how good they are. The vehicle, according to BYD, and it's in one of my videos where a BYD representative actually says what the warranty is, has a warranty on the battery of 500,000 kilometers. But they guarantee a minimum of 60% of the original battery capacity at the 500,000 kilometer mark. In other words, I can basically own this car for, I don't know, what, 15 to 20 years and still have a warranty guaranteeing me 60% of the original battery capacity. I find that hard to believe. I mean, it's so much better, the warranty, than any other electric car. Don't get me wrong. Will I buy another EV? Will I buy a Tesla? Yes, I will. But unfortunately right now, the reality is Tesla, well, they just have so much demand for their vehicles. BYD pretty much only sell their vehicles in China, whereas Tesla is selling their vehicles all over the world. So realistically, it's easier for BYD to be able to allocate an allotment of vehicles to Australia. Now, that doesn't exclude Norway. They have just started selling their vehicles over the last 6 months in Norway. They're also planning a few other countries in Europe this year. But that said, in comparison to Tesla, who are obviously heavily in the US market, in Europe, they're in Australia here, where now their vehicles have a 7-month delay. Tesla Model Y was meant to come here this year, started this year, but it looks like now it's not going to happen for at least 6 months, just because there's too much existing demand for Tesla to be able to hit. So unfortunately, I'm probably not going to be able to get a Tesla Model Y for the first 6 months of this year. Hopefully, in the second half of the year, I can get one and compare the two vehicles because they're quite similar. The BYD is a little bit smaller than the Tesla Model Y. Not that much different though. So I'll be able to compare them. I'll put them side by side. I'll tell you guys what I think. By that time, I will have had the BYD vehicle for a few months and I'll be able to say, well, this does this and this does this. I'll be able to even show you the battery degradation in the BYD, if there is any. Remember though, one big advantage of lithium iron phosphate batteries is the fact that battery degradation is minuscule, even when you charge them to 100% and discharge them down to 0%. Apparently that doesn't, or barely, if at all, affects the battery. That's one of the good things about LFP batteries. Now, the great thing is, though, that the Tesla Model Y, the standard range model, actually also comes with LFP batteries. So my recommendation, if you are going to buy an electric car, get the standard range model. The batteries will last longer, and you can charge them to 100%, discharge them to 0. I mean, you're not going to do that, but to say 2% without affecting the battery. Big advantage. It's something that I don't hear many people talking about. A lot of people don't seem to understand the differences between an NCA and an NCM chemistry battery and an LFP battery. And I have made a video about the key differences. I'll put a link in the description below to that video. Make sure you check that out. Now, in Australia here, BYD are represented by a company called Nextport, who sell the vehicles directly on a website called evdirect.com.au. So if you want to order a BYD and you're here in Australia, that's the way you have to do it. Now, this Saturday, the 19th of February at 7 p.m, BYD will launch the new Atto 3, the Yen Plus electric SUV. They've sent an email saying, today, within the last few hours, all features, pricing, warranty, and delivery times will be made available on the evdirect.com.au website after Saturday at 7 p.m. So, in other words, by the time you're watching this video, you'll be able to jump on the evdirect.com.au website and find out all those details, which, well, I don't know all the details yet, but I do know some of them. I'm going to share with you what those details that I know are. One thing I do know is this, and this is an important fact to consider. Australia's distributor for BYD says tens of millions of dollars have been spent on a right-hand drive production line at one of the company's Chinese mega factories, with the building of 15,000 electric BYD SUVs for this market to start shortly. It appears as though, from what I'm hearing, it's actually started this month. Don't know if that's true, but it sounds like it has. So this is good to know. If they have their own production line for right-hand drive vehicles, then that means there's a pretty good chance, from what I'm hearing as well, not just from this idea, but from what I've been hearing, that BYD will go on sale in the UK as well. Whether that's this year or next year, I don't know, but I think it'll be fairly soon. And if you don't know, the UK also is a right-hand drive market. Unfortunately, us Aussies followed the UK into this right-hand drive madness. So do the Japanese. And it means it's hard to get cars here. I wish we had been left-hand drive like you Americans. We would have been able to buy pickup trucks, buy all your cars, buy cars from Europe, buy cars from China, from most of the world, without them having to be re-engineered into right-hand drive for us. And then that meaning that often, many cases, we have to pay more for the car as a result. And in many cases, we miss out on a huge number of different models that we wouldn't have missed out on if we had been left-hand drive country. Anyway, I digress. As I mentioned earlier, the Atto 3 has been rebranded, called that here in Australia, but it's called the Yen Plus in China. If you don't already know this, BYD is probably the most vertically integrated car company on the face of the planet. Many of you know that I do love Tesla as a brand, but I'll call a spade a spade. I'm not going to go out and say that Tesla's more vertically integrated than BYD, because right now they're not. BYD is the most vertically integrated car company on the face of the planet. Tesla certainly will be there very soon, I believe, as a competitor in terms of being potentially as vertically integrated as BYD. Maybe by the end of this year, possibly. We'll see what happens. Well, the great thing is that BYD are rolling out its cars beyond China to Europe, Australia, and other countries. But this is not the only car that's coming. The Yen Plus is just the tip of the iceberg. BYD plans on selling about 6 different models globally within the next 2 years. Those include an electric pickup truck, the BYD Dolphin hatchback, a larger BYD SUV called the Tang, which may actually be different by the time it emerges in the rest of Europe and Australia, but right now it's sold in Norway, the BYD Tang, maybe the BYD Han, and apparently a couple of other models. One of those is an electric van, which has already gone on sale here in Australia, but only a very small number of them, but they've sold them as well in other countries. And the other one could be the new BYD sports car, which is going to be a little bit like BYD's flagship, a little bit like the Tesla Roadster, really a super fast car. Not saying it'll be as good as a Roadster, but it'll probably be a fair bit cheaper. One thing that the company distributing BYD vehicles here in Australia is doing is giving an EV stimulus. They're offering $500 million worth of low interest finance at around 3.8%. So if you're interested in finance or you can't buy the car outright, that's one option that you have here in Australia. Now, the great news about all of this is the fact that by the end of 2022, you can expect to see a huge number of cheap or cheaper Chinese EVs on sale. Those include the MG ZS electric vehicle, and there's another model as well that's sold in the UK and Europe. Then you've got as well the Tesla China-made Tesla Model 3 and the Model Y, which is coming soon as well. Then you've got Great Wall's Aura Cat, and Great Wall have significantly increased their output of vehicles. I think they sold more than 20,000 in January alone. They're already on sale, by the way, in Thailand, and they're coming to Europe and Australia soon as well. So that's another good option. Of course, you've got the BYD electric vehicles, plus you've got other Chinese car companies such as NIO and XPeng who are planning on selling their electric cars in 25 different countries by the end of 2023. It's going to mean you have a lot more options. Now, people have been asking me to make videos about the Hyundai Ioniq 5, the Kia EV6. You know what? When Hyundai and Kia decide to make these cars available to you and me, or more than just a minuscule tiny percentage of the world, then I will focus more on those cars. But right now, there's not a lot of audience for them because they're making a very, very tiny number. In comparison to the number of electric vehicles being made in China, South Korea, they're not that interested in EVs. They're interested in making EVs that look cool, that are very impressive, but not actually manufacturing them in big numbers. And to me, I just don't see the point. It's like making videos for you guys when the product is elusive. You can't own it. So once they decide to change that and to start to ramp up their numbers, I'll spend more time on South Korean electric vehicles. Now, here is what the CEO of the distribution company for BYD here in Australia said. His name is Luke Todd, and he's the CEO of EV Direct. He said, BYD is the biggest global car company that most people have never heard of. I think he's right. They are one of the world's leading advanced battery manufacturers with a significant proportion of mobile phone companies using BYD batteries and handsets as well, I should point out. So if you haven't heard of BYD before and you're on this channel thinking, hey, Viking's bought a new car and it's a BYD Yen Plus, well, I'll put a link in the description below to the Yen Plus. That video has description, details, specifications on this vehicle. I made that recently. You can see the range, you can see the size of the battery, you can see the performance, the power, the size of the car, some of the details and specifications, and I'll put some other links in the description below as well to other videos I've made about different BYD models and also about the Aura Good Cat, which is another cool EV that's going to be very affordable. You know what? All this comes down to one thing for me. It comes down to one thing, and that is making EVs affordable for the masses, making them available for the masses. And I love the fact that BYD is doing that. You know, Tesla's doing that. Obviously, their cars are a bit more expensive than a lot of these Chinese-made cars, but eventually, Tesla and all these Chinese automakers manufacturing millions and millions of EVs are going to bring the prices down. I know it's hard to see that, but it will happen, I assure you. That's the good news here. Don't worry. Hold on. Be patient. They're all coming very soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again on the next one.